Okay, perfect. Well, I think just for me to talk about it, it's also useful because I usually avoid in any serious context. So no, it's
Yeah,
good to poke me to do it. So
yeah, yeah. And you can
that's
trim
cool.
this
Thank you for
video.
the offer, by the way.
Yeah, no, pleasure. I've just been looking at your website and reading about the events of it and stuff that you're doing. So yeah, looks interesting. Um, yeah, yeah. Firstly, how come you, before we chat more about the project, I'm interested why you, just a little bit more on why you wanted to chat to me about it. Like you touched on it already on Simbi where we connected, but yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, yeah, I can. So the thing is that I changed. Like I'm in training and related topics already, maybe 10 years, almost 9.5. But I was also working for Cisco as an engineer in parallel. And Cisco was my kind of primary thing. And then with trainings, it was all very easy because I would always be invited on different projects or work kind of internally in the company or things like that. And then a year ago, I decided to move this side with trainings and stuff. And I still find horribly difficult related, kind of for two main reasons. One, credibility. I have a lot of experience and knowledge in it, diplomas and certifications, but I find so hard to be very confident in it because it's not as measurable thing as technology was. It applies to content with like, yeah, you're solving business need by using technology and this is how you do it, and I totally get the concept. You need to have a need on the other side and be able to solve that need. Yet when I try to apply it on the like training in general, but also positive psychology training, I find it really difficult because I just feel like I'm pitching something that's very untangible, and I
Mm,
can't pitch it like, oh, you're going to be happier, because first of all, it's too fluffy. Second, it's
mm,
too, I can't guarantee you that. You know what I mean?
mm.
So I kind of usually end up in this, oh, you will discover something, you will explore something about yourself, kind of blah, blah, which kind of sounds very, it's not a good pitch, right? Right, in a way. Yeah, so I don't know, it's just difficult. I think it's also part of somehow my beliefs in some way that it's eligible or whatever with my more engineering background. And just seeing so many bad things being published in context of trend, so much bullshit offer and so unproven things and ineffective things, and so that gives me feeling there is certain reputation training has, and I'm not comfortable being part of that tribe. You know what I mean?
So what's the most common
So
kind
part
of
is
bullshit?
internal and part is also external. Just how to shape that pitch, I get kind of stuck. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm finding it difficult to not talk over the top of you because of the internet delay. But whenever you're finished saying what you're saying, I was interested in what's the most common kind of bullshit you come across in the space that you work in. I'm interested.
Yeah, well, it's this thing. For example, I don't know, somebody being presentation trainer and they suck at their own presentation skills, or somebody being a business coach and having a business with 100 likes on Facebook and obviously not very well done marketing or whatever.
Mm.
So it's like a lot of people showing a lot of things and not walking the talk. That's the main evidence I see when something is wrong. But then it's also from my corporate background that I know when we would have some soft skills training and business oriented training, that always the attitude of people around would be a little bit like, this corporate bullshit type of thing, whatever, manage your time, make better decisions, whatever it is. And I think sometimes it's actually good content and good training, and which sometimes people don't learn from because they come with the attitude, whatever.
Mm.
So, yeah. So in general, with Happiness Academy now, I focused on working with people who want to come. I'm not working much with companies for now, because I don't really want to have people around who are there because they have to be.
Sure.
So that's easier side of what I'm pitching. But the tougher side is it's a lot of things being offered around that are free, and it's easy to find stuff, so it's kind of hard to pitch also what's the value, why would you pay in the end for something like this, when there is a lot you can find, whatever, advertise for free.
And what would your answer to that be?
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I would answer that there is quite a value in sort of customized personal approach. In sense, I think for everybody, first step has to be to explore what it is, the areas that they need to work on, because everyone, happiness or meaningful life, anything in this area, I want to talk about resilience as well. It's built on many small pillars. And it's always that some of these are working out great, and some of these are sort of blind spots which are making us fall through and not feel really good about things, or not feel or whatever it is that somebody is. So that really has to start with some sort of very structured, yet precise and effective and fairly short exploration. What am I happy with? What am I not happy with? And then really focused, customize the work, personal for yourself. What are the ways I can work on that? That's why also on Happiness Academy, usually I do very different workshops and different, also sometimes specific topic people want to come for. In thing that we're trying to promote most is the one that's called 12 steps, where the idea is you explore 12 different areas, and it's kind of like you learn a lot, but it's also a lot about exploration and sort of diagnosis. What is it you need to work on anyway? And I think that's maybe missing a bit. When you read an article or a book, you get some knowledge and ideas. First of all, you don't apply it, so you miss accountability of a trainer and a group and so on. But then also you don't really, it's hard to focus, it's hard to find what's the impactful element for you somehow.
So tell me as best you can in a sentence or two what you're wanting to do with Happiness Academy.
Sorry, what wanting to?
What are you aiming to do with Happiness Academy? How do you describe it?
What am I aiming to do? You mean in terms of business development? What are my plans behind it? Or in terms of what is the idea of it and kind of a vision?
What's the purpose of it?
I think I heard you said both of it. Sure, I'll assume and go with that.
What's the purpose of Happiness Academy? Do you hear me okay?
So yeah, behind it, yeah. Oh yeah, thank you. So the idea, the reason why kind of starting to spread this knowledge of positive psychology, with the idea that really everybody needs or from this kind of boost and building up more happy, more meaningful life. So in Happiness Academy, or at Happiness Academy, I guess it's more proper, we are trying to do that in 3 different areas, let's say. One is inspire people to actually work on this and to think about this and to question, am I happy? Is my life feeling meaningful? Are my relations with others good? Where am I with this? And then also educate, so give quality information, give science-based and evidence-based information, what makes or doesn't make a difference, give ideas for exercises and practices. So give good quality content and exercises, and then also empower, so kind of poke and nudge people to actually take that responsibility, to be active, to feel, first of all, I can be happier and have lives better, meaningful, more fulfilling, more joyful, but also it's down to me to create that. So like sort of I'm an active creator in my in my happiness. So that's kind of 3, let's say, directions on the high level, what we're trying to do. And then maybe more practical level, how it's mainly through training, so through different versions of workshops that can be some longer programs, some shorter, virtual, real life in different cities in Europe, and then also webinars online and stuff like that. So basically in training, a bit in coaching as well, although that's not so active part now. And then in just creating different materials, especially visual and kind of effective share. And then the last part in creating a community. So kind of connecting people who have the same goal and have healthy discussions and meaningful conversations and ability with each other as well. So it's kind of these 3 areas of work, let's say.
Thanks. So can I ask you what kind of led you to this journey of all the things that you could be doing? What's brought you to this path with Happiness Academy?
It's always something like that, and that's just my personal experience. It's something that like I started quite early being hooked on this idea of personal development and what do I want to improve, what do I want to learn, and already big part of my faculty years, which was quite a while back actually, I spent on training, well, on learning for myself different skills and knowledge, and also transferring that to different teams and working with teams and kind of working in training and development. But then with positive psychology, I actually came across a book. I was traveling in 2009 as a trainer already and quite eager on sharing knowledge with people. And I came across this book, which was Book Flow.
Are you still with me, Mirna? I've lost the last 20 seconds or so. Hello? Oh dear. Hello, hello. Are we connected? Hello?
Hello. I don't know what happened. It's a challenge for happiness. I think it was my connection. I'm sorry. It's not the best one here, so.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I'd got about the first 20, 30 seconds of you answering my question. So I'm not sure how long you were talking after we were disconnected.
Did I mention the book? If I did, that's when I stopped.
The last word I heard was book flow.
I stopped just after that, so that's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm saying I was trying this supposedly job place and got just super hooked on this travel with her, and it was Book Flow, which is book from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and it's one of the most famous books from positive psychology about this state of full engagement and flow and being really present in the activity. And I just loved it, both the information and the way it was written, and I just 24 hours not moving away from the book. And after that, when I came home, I just started digging into the topic much more. And as I was still doing a lot of other training on different other skills, like big range of skills, I realized I started putting more and more of knowledge from positive psychology into all the other trainings, like more exercises I would find, and then a little bits of everything. And, you know, even if I would be talking maybe about communication, I would kind of draw on how to build positive relationship with someone else. Or maybe if I would be, you know, whatever I would be talking about, there was something that I kind of find some connection in positive psychology. So then 2.5, 3, I was on one training event. It was like Train Advanced Trainer. I was part of the trainers team, and it was for psychologists. So participants were mainly from psychology background. And I found 2 other people who were very excited about positive psychology. And they just spent a big portion of the event talking to them and kind of getting ideas. And it really got me motivated to build a course based from on positive psychology. Because I also noticed one thing, that's the training world and positive psychology world are quite separate in sense positive psychology's world of academics right now. And although they write a lot of books with good exercises as well, I don't see many actually very practical experiences that are built in a way that respects learning cycle, that draws on learning science and kind of neuroscience of learning, and that is really built in a way that is the best for learning. And one of my maybe further dreams for later is to connect these two worlds more. So to bring in more evidence-based things from positive psychology to training, and more skills of building learning experience back to positive psychology. But back to Happiness Academy, the main kind of focus there was then actually, I just started building this course, and I spent 6 months, more than 6 months building it. That's the 12th one that I mentioned you before. And then I actually just needed to give some background to the course. Who is the course from? What is the course about? And that's where Happiness Academy started. And then it started going later in many different directions with different courses. But it all started with this sort of 12 steps and saying, yeah, there will be more things related to this. So let's give it sort of a bigger umbrella name for all of these smaller things and projects to bring them together. Yeah, and then a year ago, a bit more than a year ago, I left Cisco, the primary, let's say, official work and title, to fully kind of dedicate time to training. And even though I still want to work in different areas of training, and I still am a little bit, I also needed to choose the main focus. So my thinking was kind of, yeah, okay, this is something where I want to kind of dedicate my time for now, fully.
Mm.
And the call didn't drop. That's great. No.
Yeah. So, and who would you say it's most for, and who is it least for?
Okay, so it's most aimed, I think when I built it, obviously I started most with people most similar to me at that time, which were kind of like people who are quite hooked on self-development, and who want to change something about their life, which is not necessarily fix a big problem, but it's always like there is always space for improvement and for learning and for having more of good things and so on. Now I would say maybe sort of a target that we work with, it's from, let's say, roughly people between 20 and 40, let's say, that kind of age group. Background in general is mainly in training in different European places, so I kind of wanted to build it also for that group. Part of it definitely for people technology savvy and who like flexibility, because that's also something that where we run a lot of things also on virtual part. But it then depends on the specific course or specific product. It can go to somebody who is totally beginner on positive psychology, or somebody who has some ideas and knowledge but wants more structure, or what we said, more exploration of step-by-step kind of what are the areas I want to work on, and that kind of structure and community to support him in that. And then even to side people who are quite long, maybe in training already. I love also delivering things like positive psychology toolbox for trainers. So that kind of areas, like applying, again, the tools and exercises to people who are already experienced, maybe in both, in positive psychology or training, or even both. So it can go from every level of knowledge. But it's for people who are not in any heavy state. It's not made as a therapy. It's not for somebody who is depressed to come and totally solve that, or who is completely unhappy with everything, because we don't really work so much with tackling, let's say, any sort of clinical state or any sort of major big things. So we kind of count that people come to us in already, let's say, with some baseline of stable life, but looking for something more. And somehow I realized that also big group that is coming very often is people who graduated maybe 4 or 5 years ago. You know, typical millennial story, kind of like in their job for a while already, not really developing everywhere where they would want to, want more from life, want more experiences, want more meaningful work, not experienced enough to career enough that they would have really big impact, and they want to feel more impact. They just kind of like what previously it was mid-age crisis. I think now it's more like quarter life crisis. So I think that's one of the perfect example of type of groups and individuals who are connecting to Happiness Academy.
Mm. So it's a huge passion you have, and a massive area. I'm wondering, on quite a personal level, where your curiosity most lies at the moment? Like, what is really alive for you in this huge field of work where you're exploring so many different things? Yeah, what is one or two things that you're particularly kind of excited about or actively exploring and wanting to learn about right now?
Yes.
Are we connected still? Dodgy internet connection.
Hello.
Hello, Mirna.
I think this is a great call to practice emotional management and not get frustrated.
Yeah, it must be frustrating.
Yeah, so I got your question. I didn't answer it yet.
Tell me.
So yeah, actually your question is spot on, because it's true that I told you I started digging into post-psychology topics in 2009, and it was continuous learning for years, reading a lot of stuff and just discovering new topics, new books, new courses. And then 3 years ago, I said kind of, okay, I'm narrowing down from my different training experiences. I'm narrowing down to positive psychology because one cannot master everything and I need to narrow down. And then I started attending masters in applied positive psychology, which was full-time on actually it was in Cambridge on Anglia Ruskin, so not that far from you. And that was wonderful experience and source of a shock how much more there is to learn. Because every module and every topic where you learned a lot and you realize there are 10 more levels, in a way. So learning never stops. And
Are you there still, Mirna? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hello.
This is such a challenge for positive psychology. Think if you can stay positive through
Sorry.
Pardon?
No, I didn't hear anything you said now, except that it's challenge for psychology.
Yeah, just a challenge to stay positive with an intermittent internet connection. I've just turned off my
video. You know why that is? Because at the beginning I said walk the talk.
I got as far as
should I do the same?
Yeah, I heard you saying that it's a constant learning journey for you. Yeah, maybe that might work better. Let's try, hey? Yeah, you're saying that you're constantly learning, and then that's when you disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's pick it up from there. Yeah, so I said it definitely constant learning, and what is that I love all of the subjects under positive psychology. So I'm always grabbing something new and exploring what's new that showed up in a way and what's new for me. But you are also right. There are two topics that are very special to me at the moment. I like how you pinpointed that. And that is mindfulness and thinking patterns, sort of a mindset, let's say. And the reason these are special is because it's something that for me was a very big thing in personal development to work on. And also because through working on them, I realized how crucially important they are. So this is the right mind with your thoughts and with things that arise in your head and the way you give meaning and tell stories about your experience. Then you can be happy in any circumstances. Then it doesn't matter where you area, and that's why it's one of the most interesting for me. And then the second one is, as I told you, mindfulness, because it was very important thing to develop more of, and it's a still eternal journey, because I love to be active and do a million things and do a million projects and do a million hobbies and travel a lot, and just I'm very active in my life. And I realized that sometimes it's costing me part of the experience because I run too fast from one thing to the other. So just learning over those moments and, to appreciate little things and be present in things I'm doing for me, and one that's actively in my focus for the last year and a half or maybe two, teaching a lot of other people and kind of working with them and discovering what works for them. And it's still something that I feel needs to stay in my focus for a while. Having that said, once these two are kind of more let's say under my belt, and once I really I feel content with these two areas and what I know and I can learn them, I would also love to work much more with resilience, recovery from challenging or not necessarily negative experiences, very related to the thinking patterns and mindset that I mentioned, but also kind of in the area of post-traumatic growth, and then also in the area of just working on our stories and on the way we approach. I see that's something that's huge. Would love to also in the future also work in those topics more.
And so, okay, that's great. A question I've been holding for a little while, I've been kind of wondering in the back of my mind is, so with all of this, what have you been wanting to get better at communicating? What have you been struggling to communicate as clearly as you would like?
I think maybe my strength is much more in explaining the content, and I get always in that trap, and I maybe lose the part of what's in it for you. So kind of value proposition in the end, because I can tell you what amazing things you will learn, but I won't tell you why you should learn them or how will they impact your life or them, you know, sort of kind of like value proposition or what's in it for me, I guess.
Would you like to try saying what is in it for people that you work with now?
I would hate to try it, so I think I should.
Yeah, well, you have the luxury of being able to do what you want with this.
Yeah, well, thank you for that luxury one more time. Yeah, so I think the biggest value that still we are building with Happiness Academy is this chance to stop for a moment and to ask yourself, what are all the things in my life that I'm not perfectly happy with, joyful about, satisfied about, that don't feel fulfilling or meaningful of my life? Ways, first of all, to understand better life and what are the areas where we're lacking in achieving that. And then also the part of giving you scientific tools and exercises and community that's very supportive and that gives you more ideas to build that. So to kind of strengthen that area in your life. That really sucked, to be honest.
And do you find that most people are able to, how many people are able to make a journey to restructuring their life in a way that better meets their needs, excites them more, fulfills them more? Is it something that most people you work with are able to do, or is it very circumstantial?
Yeah, let me just comment behind the scene part of the pitch or anything. It's, first of all, this that I said, it sounds like way too much like coaching type of a thing, not like, you know, and I think it's not the only thing you get. But then what happened for me with Happiness Academy courses is that it repeatedly it happens that people come and join courses who have been on some of my other trainings. So they come from what they gained there somebody, and like I never get people, or very rare, okay, it's not never, get people who just read the pitch on the website or whatever and then join because that sounds good or whatever. And I think that's maybe the population I need to think of more, how to pitch it to someone who has no experience of how I work or how I am. You know what we talked about, walking the talk at the beginning. In many ways I can demonstrate things I'm preaching in my life, but then like to know that you need to spend some time with me, and I really can't do that in 2 sentences.
Yeah, I'm sure there's quite a burden on trying to reduce oneself to a snappy sentence, especially when it's trying to focus on all the things you're passionate about and trying to bring to people and bring to the world. Okay, well, wow. Thanks for sharing all that. Is there anything else that you would like to share about this work, or anything to do with yourself or your relationship with this work?
Nothing that I have in mind at the moment, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe just part that for me, it's all in this exploration. It's very hard. It's not about chasing some very big goals or fulfilling some sort of certificates or courses. It's just about in many, many different exploring your life. This is one of the ways to explore what you want from life and to kind of build that in a way that's most meaningful for you and that's going to make you most satisfied and fulfilled in some way.
I think it's a beautiful thing to be so committed to being in service of people and helping people to create the time and space to hear themselves and what feels meaningful in their lives and what they want to connect to more. Certainly that feels like a kind of precious space that is under threat by our modern lives. And so I'm glad you're focusing on it. Yeah, and I think very much you do walk the talk based on how many times we've been disconnected in this video call from slow and unreliable internet. I think you have the patience of a saint for not pulling your hair out. So yeah, I think that's about all from me. Yeah, it's been really nice to chat to you about this. Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
I have 2 questions / proposals.
Please.
One is just if you have, I know we're way longer than we were planning to be now. You can give me a couple of sentences of feedback of what you see that I could advance in, because I kind of get the idea in my focus of what is the, stone to change. So if you have some specific tips and feedback, I would love to hear. Because usually if I ask people for feedback, they know a lot about Happiness Academy. So this is like great to have new ears. And the second thing is, if you're up for it, I would love to do this again in a couple of months, once I'm back, and to try to do it maybe a little bit more. Today I want to, so you're right, just about it. I would like to also do it maybe in a little bit more, not planned, but focused way, to actually maybe build up really something to publish as well.
Sure, yeah. I think it's difficult to follow everything completely and catch every word, and therefore harder to be fully present, and because of the internet connection, just throwing away half of the words. It's I'm doing my best, but yeah, it would be great to try again when we've got a more reliable connection. In terms of feedback, yeah, let me think. I think a lot of the words I really enjoy. There's I particularly love educate, empower, and inspiring individuals. Just taking that from the website, I just think there's something so beautiful about those 3 words together. So holistic, looking at the full picture of the human, like learning stuff, also motivating, but then also giving practical tools to actually move forward with those learnings and that motivation. Sort of more generally, I guess from a very sort of personal point of view, I'm quite quick to I quite quickly become defensive with anything that I see as could possibly be suggesting that I, as a human being, in any way kind of machine-like, or there's like a linear journey to my self-development or growth, or kind of press this button or pull this lever and then a predictable result will happen. And I think some feedback might be that in talking to you face to face, I feel like I align possibly slightly more with chatting to you as an individual compared to looking on your website. I feel like I align more over just how intangible it is. It's the paradox, isn't it? Of like, of course, there are things that you can do to work on yourself to better see and understand the knots, the things that hold you back from reaching out for the things that you really want in your life. but yeah, but it just being so addictive to believe that there's a very linear process to unlocking that potential in ourselves, and untying those knots is such a linear, practical, like mechanistic thing. Because I guess that's what's going to sell, and I guess all over the internet, and everywhere, I guess there are things that are aiming to kind of sell that, like do this, this, and this, and then you'll be happy. And yeah, a lot of people that are making a lot of money off of kind of creating products and services to fast forward people into happiness. But I feel like there is something very different with this, and I feel like there is an appreciation of the complexity and the uniqueness of different people's journeys. And it is still focusing a lot on happiness, which I guess is more of a result of actions that you take. So yeah, I think I click most with the bits that just really recognize how unpredictable the journey is, how complex humans are, how unique each of our journeys through better understanding ourselves is. And yeah, I guess the emphasis, because sooner or later, if you are offering a paid product or service, at some point you do need to be convincing people that, you know, something's going to come out of it that's going to be valuable to people. So what a difficult thing to do with psychology, because it's really that individual that creates the value themselves at the end of the day, isn't it? Like, you can't actually change somebody's mind or heart or life yourself. Only they can do that. But yeah, I appreciate it. I think the humbleness mixed in with the ambition is what speaks to me most in there. Does that make some sense?
Cool. You gave me some great ideas. The idea that maybe, because I keep trying to make it more linear, although I know it's impossible. You know? So you gave me an idea. Maybe I should more storytell it in a way. Maybe I should more talk about this balance also, kind of like big picture, and how you're developing your life on a big picture. And it makes sense that you can also immediately have a boost balance between the two methods. Something we teach in the selling part, that's about this balance, you know, like journey, but let's also have every day be enjoyable type of thing. So that's a good input. And what you said about, maybe I should also put some videos. We have some webinars which we also kind of use for that a bit, but maybe also to put the videos more on the website or something, which I'm not a big fan of creating, but I guess it is there. So
yeah, pleasure. Yeah, it's been a
it's very meaningful.
We've managed to connect to an extent, so I think we've done very well given the circumstances. All right, my dear, I shall.
I just said thank you. Nothing.
All right, my dear, have a lovely day. I'll stop the call now. Bye.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.